saying that earlier on that in Australia the music is more important than image, and in England everyone's very concerned about your trousers. I'm not surprised,
trousers, yeah.
actually, looking at those. But do you find that's happening to you a lot?
Yeah, well, people sort of looking and say, well, you have to dress a certain way to play a certain music. You know, it happens all over the place. I don't know. We're not really concerned. We're just concerned with our music.
And how would you describe
Comfortably we dress.
Comfortably, yes. Yeah. They look a little tight to me. Now, how would you describe the music?
Rock music.
Now, in all the polls that I was reading in Countdown magazine, you know, when it came to sexiest man, you won.
Is there a category for that?
Yeah. Sexiest man.
I don't read them.
Now, what about Paul
win?
Mel Gibson? What's he now?
Oh, Mel, yeah, he's, you know.
Just forget it now.
Forget it, yeah.
Oh, dear. I'm really sad. Now, we're now going to turn from all that, and we've hit all the high points in that conversation, back to Jules and Robbie. I hope.
The video that you've just seen is basically Paula and Michael from the first time that they had their first interview. And as you can see, there was a lot of chemistry during that time. Paula, at the time, was married to someone else, Bob Geldof. And I believe that Michael was in another relationship at that time. So the two of them couldn't be together then. But as I said, it was very clear that there was a lot of chemistry even back then. The next video that you're going to see is basically when they met again several years later. And I'm sure you'll be able to agree, the chemistry between these two, it's palpable.
At long last, a first on the Big Breakfast, we have a guest. Oh, such a fantastic guest. I can't even describe it to you, but you'll see in a second. Boy, this is a guest who has tackle troubling trousers. This is a guest that has everything that a rock star needs to have. Danger, talent, curly hair, and Australian subtlety. And for the first time, this is a guest that I want to have my leg over. And it is. It's the fantastically talented Michael Hutchence.
Hi.
Hi. What are you, a big sex symbol or something? Hi.
Good morning.
Don't go clubbing all the time.
Not all the time, not as much as I used to. Which was every night, but I've cut it down to, once or twice a week now.
But when you go clubbing, you don't come back for 3 days.
No,
so
that's the difference.
It's probably sort of the same, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm good at it, yeah.
As you can see, it's very evident that there was a lot of chemistry between these two. It was palpable. Soon after this interview, the two of them actually left their respective partners and got together. After that, there's been a lot of press around, or there was a lot of press around these two. They brought into the world a beautiful little girl, Tiger Lily, and the rest, as you say, is history. But it was a tragic tale between these two. So I thought to do the Destiny Matrix to see why the two of them were brought together, and essentially what could have gone wrong and what ultimately did go wrong here, despite how powerful the love and the connection was between these two. Hello. Hi everyone, welcome to Ruby Rose Tarot. Today is my birthday. I have turned the tender age of 25. As I'm looking across at my daughter, who is giving me a bit of a side eye right now. But I could pass for 25, right? Yeah. She's done good. She smiled and nodded. So I thought I would come back again to talk about, as part of the Know Thyself series, some of the connections, especially celebrity connections, that I've been obsessed with over the years. Especially before I found this method. So you will have seen from the VT, some of you will know exactly who this couple is. It is Michael Hutchence and Paula Yates. So Michael Hutchence was the lead singer of In Excess, and Paula Yates was Britain's very own. This partnership, this coupling, a lot of people scratch their heads over. And it's understandable why. Some people have said some pretty nasty things over the years around the coupling, especially going off some of the people that Michael used to date back in the day. But this partnership was destined. And you'll probably have seen from the video that there was instant spark between the two of them. So the first video was basically their very first meeting and their very first interview. Now, Paula at the time was married, and I believe that Michael was in another relationship at that time, but you could still see sparks flying between the two of them. The second video is many years later, where Paula, still married, and Michael was in his high-profile relationship with a supermodel. Shortly after that interview, the two of them left their respective partners and came together. A lot of people had a lot to say about the relationship, but it was very, very clear and evident to see that there was something that was constantly drawing these two people together. And the Destiny Matrix goes some way in trying to explain this. Okay? So, where do I begin with respect to this? So, bear with me 1 second. So we have got let's start off with the karmic tale, actually. So with the karmic tale, the two of them came in with a specific karma, okay? Something that just kept on repeating itself in past incarnations. And the karmic tale for these two is basically the oppressed soul. So it's where in a previous lifetime, maybe it could have been one person in the connection oppressed the other in some way when they came together. So best way to explain it is, let's say it was Paula. Paula met Michael in a previous incarnation in the hopes that the two of them could come together and it would be absolutely beautiful. They got together. But what ended up happening was, in that incarnation, Michael's energy probably wasn't as balanced. So what ended up happening was that Michael then in turn suppressed Paula. The learnings from this karmic tale is to, one, respect each other, and as in coming in as equals, and two, to basically be very strong on your own. So as intense as the connection may be, to be solid and strong in your own right. Now, unfortunately, the karmic tale is repeated. So they, in essence, they came together to repeat the same cycle again, but in the hopes that they would find some form of grounding. Now, do I think that the two of them achieved it in this lifetime? Possibly. we're going to go into the energies in more detail in a second. But with that number 10 in the entry position, the number 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. That is destiny. That is fated. I would even go as far as saying that it is the strong indication of a twin flame-esque type of connection. Fate brought these two together. So, going into that number 10, this alliance was created in order for partners to experience what an easy life is without limits, so that they could breathe freely. They are lucky in everything. People in this couple become not only lovers and spouses, but also great friends for each other. The way that these two were you could see how playful they were. But especially because of the years of wanting each other, in essence, it created almost a solid foundation for these two. With that 5 energy at the very, very top of the matrix, this is a couple that lives here and now without putting off life. They love setting up home. Partners hear each other and can agree on any issue. Their relationship can serve as an example for others. The two of them were brought together to basically influence others. The two of them were brought in together to basically create order for each other, as in to hold each other to account. But it was meant to be a kind of easy, breezy sort of connection. Now, the two of them together, from what could be seen and from Paula's accounts, really were epitomizing the 10 and 5 energy. They basically kind of loved each other. They loved setting up home together. And there was no limits with the two of them. So it's tick, tick, tick across the board. However, easy life, not so much. And we're going to kind of come on to the negative energies in a second. All right. But the reason why they were brought together was basically to help the other, to balance the other one out. And I think ultimately, especially with that 5 energy, possibly marriage, but they never got that far. For those of you who don't know, so Michael Hutchence, he passed away by alleged suicide. And shortly after he passed, Paula passed shortly afterwards. And I believe that was a drug overdose. She didn't really survive after his passing. It really deeply affected her. All right. So fate brought this couple together. And they were effectively free and creative people who really worked hard in terms of their respective creative professions. They weren't planners. They essentially just did what they wanted to do, which is very, very clear for those who have been following this couple. Now, from the outside looking in, and I think I touched on this right at the beginning, that people, the way that this couple was viewed, they were viewed as an unusual pairing. All right. And this is replicated in the Destiny Matrix. You know, they're deemed to be an unusual couple. But the way that they viewed life it was in a positive way, and that life opened up together. It opened up new horizons in business, in love, in traveling, and in trips. Other people would have seen that raising children was easy for the two of them. All right. And they built very strong, almost like a friendship bond with these children from an early age. So Paula talked quite openly about how close Michael was to her children. But also when the two of them had Tiger Lily, Michael pretty much came into his own as dad. Not only for her children, but for his own. With this 5 energy, people who really truly knew them could see that they had found a soulmate in each other, especially coupled with that 10 energy. This couple would have taken family values very seriously, honouring tradition. But interestingly, we also have tries to unite the whole family under one roof as often as possible, which I feel was a huge issue in the lead up to Michael's untimely and really unfortunate passing. Because he was upset because he wasn't able to have all of the family with him in Australia under one roof. Their home was characterized by fun, but at the same time, both wanted comfort. And I feel that both of them weren't obsessed with the trappings of their fame. They would have been quite happy to live quite modestly as well. But both of them were dedicated parents, and I think that was very, very clear for both of them. Now, I feel that for a happy relationship for these two, it was really important for both of them to take care of each other, to have informal conversations and arrange date nights, to communicate with friends, have fun, give gifts, buy each other or themselves like clothes. But also as a partnership, one providing to the other, you know, some advice on how to build better business relationships or assistance with more difficult, you know, friendships or business partnerships or relationships as well. Now, I believe, again, through Paula's accounts after Michael's passing, because they were quite a private couple, that she was there to really support him, and she was like the background strength for him during that time. Now, I feel that the important thing for both of them, in order to maintain that happiness, I'll say it as it is, and she said it, sex. Very, very important for both of them. And to understand each other, but to really maintain that passion throughout the connection. But it's necessary to fulfill each other's desires, even the most secret, to indulge again. Paula had alluded to the fact that Michael had quite a healthy sexual appetite. So he was into threesomes, foursomes, you name it, he was into it. And she was very open to that as well. So again, you know, in terms of the reason why the two of them worked was because both of them understood each other's desires and needs. Together, they can achieve absolutely everything, all right, including high money and power. But again, it's to do with the two of them really understanding and accepting each other. Being silent in the same room, but knowing that there was love there between the two of them. Travel is really important to, or would have been really important to the two of them as well. But again, I kind of feel that both of them needed to really support and be a crutch for the other, which I believe, again, through Paula's account, that was the case. Now, in a negative state, the 10 and the 5 energies can completely flip on its head, though. So in a 10 energy, the couple often faces life difficulties, which again, you know, working really hard at their job, but not really achieving much within that, you know, in excess at that time, just before Michael died. Were not completely on the decline, but they were on the decline at that time. So Michael was really struggling with that. On top of that, relatives often criticize this couple. And I feel, especially after Michael's passing, there's been a lot, friends, family, who've come forward to basically say that Michael didn't want to be in the relationship, and that, you know, the two of them were not meant to be together. And obviously, if this is being aired out after Michael's death, no doubt things may have been said whilst Michael was still alive as well. And there was a lot of disputes after Michael's passing in relation to Paula and their, you know, Michael and Paula's daughter, Tiger Lily. Also, partners feel that they're not living their own life and are no longer confident in their future together. Now, again, this has been aired through, I believe, I don't know whether it was Michael's brother or sister. So there may be truth in it. And maybe Michael was having a wobble at some point. But what's important to note here is that partners feel that they're not living their own life. There was a heavy public scrutiny, especially in the UK. The UK press came for the couple in a huge way. His name was like mud. Now, to live under that level of scrutiny added a lot of pressure to this couple. So what should have been really easy wasn't. Another negative state, with the 5 being flipped on its head, is partners not being able to find a common ground. Not being able to talk openly. Pointing out each other's shortcomings, getting angry at each other. Now, this didn't transpire from what we are aware of, but that could be when the two or one of them is in a negative energy, which, like I said, they were quite a private couple, but it appeared that there was none of that. None of not to say they didn't argue, but it didn't look like they were going or heading towards Splitsville. Now, if a couple does not fulfill what they came for, what they met for, then negative karma turns on. Now, the relationship can become quite superficial, where cheating as well is entirely possible. Again, there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of people saying things over the years. Potentially, that may have been the case. More so possibly on Michael's side. And maybe communication may have been an issue as well. So if this occurs, then negative karma turns on. So despite the fact that these two are twin flames, it doesn't negate the fact that the whole connection can turn on its head. Equally, negative karma kicks in where one or both partners feel that they are not living their own lives. They are constantly criticized by relatives. And again, where they do not see a future in the connection. There's been speculation around this. Like I said, I think it either came from Michael's brother or his sister, or it may have come from Michael's friends or bandmates. But again, if this kicks in, negative karma can then switch on. Other indications of negative karma is if one partner is heavily dependent on the other for money or for health reasons. And they don't feel freedom. That's that oppressive soul energy. I don't feel that that was the case here. There's also, with this energy, there's a limited circle of friends, and a reduced chance of travel. Now, I do feel that the energy 22 restriction on freedom played a huge part here for these two, especially with the negative karma being switched on, because for Michael, he felt that he couldn't have the number 5, which is the reason why they were here, the reason why they'd met. And that is to ultimately come together, to be a family, to all be under the same roof. And I feel it all culminated and ultimately resulted in what we ultimately saw when he, purportedly, in quotation marks, took his life. What else is there? Interestingly, again, the last thing to point out where negative karma can switch on, despite how positive the connection is where a man cannot provide for his family. And he may suffer from alcoholism, addictions. Now, at that time, he was addicted There was a lot of alcohol and there was some drugs in his system as well. He may have felt that at that time that he couldn't be there or be that provider for his family at that time. And again, it's that not being able to live his life, not having that freedom. Equally, with this same energy, there may be scandals or aggression. Unfortunately, I feel that the negative karma for these two kicked in and reached a crescendo for these two on that day. On the day that he ultimately took his life. Now, again, the comfort zone for this couple, right slap bang in the middle of this reading, is the number 11. And this is to do with physical interaction, sex, and the importance of it to both of them. And for all accounts, again, Paula had alluded to the fact that there was a very, very healthy relationship there. So unfortunately, I feel that for both of them, they could have reached their goal. But it may, and again, this is me surmising, it may have been that unfortunately for Michael and for Paula, on that day, everything relating to when negative karma switches on culminated in that day. So is there anything else that I need to point out in terms of, yes, values? The value of these two, it relates to pleasure, tenderness, and physical intimacy. Harmony comes when partners are able to love and accept each other without any conditions. It's important to have mutual support in everything and always do things together. It's very, 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 very unfortunate story, and I had been following this with some obsession a few years ago, because it was very clear and very apparent to anyone with eyes that there was obviously something growing between these two. And the strength of that connection, and a lot of people saw them as in quotation marks, an unlikely pair. But that unlikely pair created something, or had real potential to continue to create something absolutely beautiful as a couple. But due to circumstances and to a certain degree, oppression. So they may not have oppressed themselves, but I feel that society ultimately oppressed these two. The press. I need to be careful what I say next, but it could have been, past relationships that may have oppressed the current situation that the two of them are in. I feel that this was the epitome of what could have been and was for those two a very beautiful and very powerful destined connection, which, unlike Amy and Blake, who I covered off in an earlier Know Thyself series episode, I feel that these two really had some potential here, especially for marriage. If, that negative karma didn't kick in, who knows where that connection could have gone. So that is it. It is a wrap. If you've enjoyed this reading, then you know what to do. Please do your girl a solid and smash that like button for me. For those of you who haven't already, I'd also really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be kept up to date on absolutely anything and everything that I upload on here. And for those of you who are interested, so I am uploading a couple of these videos on this platform, and will sporadically be putting these videos into this platform. But I have set up another channel with my best friend Mia, called Reignite Your Soul, and the whole channel will be focusing on the Destiny Matrix, on knowing thyself. So there'll be the Destiny Matrix, there'll be numerology calculations, there'll be all sorts on there, which are tools which both myself and Mia use and will be using to help you to be able to know yourself. Now, by you being able to know yourself, you'll also be able to have the tools and be aware of your own skills and talents that will then shape your future, enable you to be able to seize that dream of yours. Rightio. Take care of yourselves, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day. So apologies, I've not done a full-blown reading today. I'm aiming to do it tomorrow. Because it's my birthday, I don't want to be on for about 6 or 7 hours. I love y'all, I really do, but 7 hours, probably not today. So I will be back with the cuspy readings from tomorrow. So don't feel like you're missing out. It's just you're just missing out by a day, okay? Take care of yourselves, guys. Enjoy the rest of the week, and I will catch you next time. Bye.